ReZero has my jaw on the floor. There is so much to unpack with this episode, and it's insane to look at what second season of ReZero has accomplished, and even if you take season 1 and 2 combined, what it's been able to accomplish in terms of setup and execution, and then at the same time feeling like we're seeing setup for arcs down the line. This author and the team at White Fox are putting their everything into this masterpiece of a story, and just from things that people have been wondering about for quite some time, does Roswell know about Return by Death? Apparently so, because as the Witch of Envy's shadowy flames are engulfing Sanctuary and heading towards the mansion, he says, hopefully you'll do better next time, Natsuki Subaru. And I'm like, what? How does he know? How does he know of Return by Death? And I'm like, this is the best episode of ReZero, and they keep topping themselves. We haven't seen anything yet, and they're able to accomplish so much, and I'm like, my man. We learned so much about ReZero in this week's episode, but it feels like we're just scratching the surface. And what I love about the second season, I think the most, is how it brings up questions that I'm not thinking about, but when they bring up that question, I wonder, why haven't I been thinking about it more? And one of the biggest ones, or if not the biggest one in this week's episode, was when basically Subaru asks Ekidana, is there a limit to how many times I can return by death? And I just kind of sat there like, oh, I should have thought of that. I should have wondered more about that limit, because it's easy to get content with an anime's formula. You say, okay, the quirk is the character can die and come back to a checkpoint, almost like a video game system. He just doesn't have control over the autosave. And it's very easy to assume that's what's going to happen the entire way through, and then when that question gets brought up, you immediately get concerned, like, what if there's a certain number? What is the limit? Why can he return by death, and is there a way that it could stop? And it seems like basically as long as the witch is happy and greedy and envious, you can keep doing it limitless. But if you keep defying destiny, I feel like that's going to come a point where maybe there isn't any left, and that's like a great and bad thing all wrapped up in a one, because in a perfect world you would see Subaru, be able to accomplish everything he wants and wouldn't have to worry about return by death, and he would be able to have a normal life after he defeated the witch that's basically haunting him and is madly in love with him. But it's hard to say where they want to go, and that's a really, really fun feeling. And honestly, I think my favorite part of this episode, after everything that we've seen, all the information that was revealed, the new witches, we have Minerva, we have Pride, we have, of course, Gluttony and Envy and all of her glory. My favorite part was actually the title of this episode. When you see something like I love, love, love you, and just like it's kind of going a little insane, and might even want to say it's a little cringy, I love how you see Minerva, who is basically punching with love and is repairing, like that's the Witch of Wrath. Someone who repairs someone who's basically destroyed because he sees himself as a sinner, but the witch in question doesn't. And I was like, that's cool. Like, that's actually a really nice way to tie it to the episode title. It's nothing extraordinary, but I was like, that's good. And then you see the end of the episode and you see who truly loves Subaru, and I'm like, that is brilliant. It's the little moments that ReZero really gets me with, where you can title something and you think you know what that title's gonna mean after you see a certain thing, or maybe you have your theories, and then when whatever you're thinking comes true or something else comes true, in this case it's Minerva and her heart punches of doom, and which is really honestly just healing and restoration, you're like, that's what the title means. And then you don't expect the end of the episode. And when the end of the episode comes, it's like ripping off a band-aid, making the wound bigger, and just getting a dump truck full of salt to pour on that wound as someone just punches you in the face. Because it caught me off guard. And what caught me even more off guard is Garf. Because Garf's always had suspicion of Subaru, and every time he returns by death, that scent gets stronger. So why would he want to save him this time? Because the true thing's right in front of him. Subaru no longer looks crazy, especially considering it looks like he was about to get consumed by a witch. And it's like, okay, is this the save point that we need now? Is this going to be a new checkpoint? What do you do? And things that you were questioning start to make so much more sense. Like, on one hand, why is it that the mansion is going to get invaded? Why is it that certain things are happening? And it seems like if you defy destiny enough, there's going to be checkpoints that he can't control, and that the witch is going to make things happen in a certain way. And I think Rem is probably one of the biggest obstacles in the witch's mind that Subaru has, and she isn't important to her story, her narrative, and it seems like she wants to erase her from existence, and it's insane to think about. And then you get the whole 3 great mob beasts. We've already destroyed the great white whale, of course we knew about that, but these rabbits and how they can multiply indefinitely, and how basically they're one mind, they're one consciousness, but you have to destroy them all in one go because one can make a million, and just keep doing that time and time again. And it's interesting because when you get the conversation with Gluttony, I didn't see it coming, because when basically she was like, hey, don't touch her, don't look at her, and then you see a witch, I was like, oh, that's clearly the witch, and it was just trying to go a little more cutesy and make you think like, oh, she's not as bad as you think she is. I thought to myself, okay, that makes sense, that seems interesting. And as he starts getting destroyed and she's kind of laughing, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can clearly understand why Akidana was saying to be careful. And then you see Minerva, and Minerva's like, okay, this is wrath, but she's healing him. But then you see Gluttony. And Gluttony being chained up and hungry. It was so unnerving to see a childlike being have such ferocity and despair behind every word, and you knew that she was the one who set off these mobbies. I think it's really great to have the idea that you make 3 beasts that were kind of designed to be food for people, but at the same time, as she said, you can't expect to be fed if you don't expect for them to feed as well. And it's like, what was the point? Because even Subaru's like, I don't quite know why this happened, but at the same time, I at least have a better understanding and know what to do. They're latched onto mana, so if we can have a great mana source kind of be like bait for them, then maybe you can find a way to obliterate them all. And I'm wondering if the way they're going to obliterate them is by using the witch herself, because she's so powerful and full of, I would assume, mana, that maybe you can somehow lure her to be the bait for these, as maybe use something else or even her own shadowy flames to destroy the mobbies. I don't know if that's the direction they're going, but they definitely got to figure out something soon and very, very fast, because I feel like we're approaching a checkpoint very soon. And imagine if the checkpoint was, as you saw the mansion engulfed in the witch's envy's flames. Like, that would be insane. But I love the conversation and how we've been sitting at this tea party for so long in the season now. And it feels even more engaging than when you had Rem's confession and Subaru just sitting or standing on a rooftop and them just talking. It's so intriguing to finally have someone you can talk with all these things, because Subaru's been alone and isolated this entire time. And the issue with that is how you don't know what to feel or think, because all we have is the viewer and Subaru, and we're both have the same amount of knowledge, and yeah, we can theorize and speculate a little better than Subaru at times because we're not getting our head cut off and having to reset and redo every connection we've made along the way. But at the same time, we are oblivious. We don't know what to do, and that's why it's so easy to trust into a witch that clearly has ulterior motives, but at the same time, that's all you have. That's the only one you can talk with and basically have a conversation with, and it's why you want to put every bit of ounce of trust you have into someone who could easily stab you in the back, because at this point, that's all we have. And that's the brilliance of the writing in this show, and the way they can direct such emotional scenes with 2 people sitting around a table drinking tea, or refusing to drink the tea because it's bodily fluids. It's so interesting how they're able to accomplish and explore so much about what we've wanted to know about this, explain past events like the Mombies and why these rabbits just appeared, and how things that you're like, what's happening here? Why are things happening in this order? Why does it feel like fate's being warped, and then in doing so, is that causing curses? And it seems like, yeah, you have to do things by the Witch of Envy's accord, or things are going to go haywire, and we've seemingly reached that point. And I don't know what's going to happen. I really, really don't, but I'm really happy to see that he has a way of remembering now. The whole idea of her just touching on something that was fully trust, and like, I don't know, does that mean like someone that he cares about is now dead? Is that little Petra girl going to die? Like, I don't know, but it's like, it's gonna be a blessing and a curse. I feel like this connection he's made is gonna be the biggest blessing and curse he's made along the way, and it's gonna be interesting to see if it does appear to be a curse at some point, how he'll handle that, and if he'll ever want to return back for a tea party. The simple desire of him just needing to have more and more determination to see her and call out for her is a way that he can reach that tea party, or an ulterior way is to just use the actual trial itself, which he's capable of taking. He'll obviously be a little different, but at the same time, it's really interesting. And I like the idea that they're kind of even touching upon the witches and how they're able to be there, because like, well, if we're dead, well, how are you talking with me? And how they basically all reside in this one realm. And it definitely is feeling like the witches aren't truly the enemy of the series, or at least not all of them. It seems like a lot of them have good intentions, but maybe those good intentions, as seen by Gluttony, have a lot of darkness to them that they don't comprehend in a human sense, and that's why a flying whale or man-eating rabbits aren't actually a great thing, and she's kind of confused by it because she's like, hey, it's infinite food, it's just you gotta let them feed too, and it's like, that's not what we want. We want to just have our cake and eat it too. This episode was incredible. It explained so much, but then it brought up so many new questions, and unlike many series where it does that, it never felt like those past questions that got answered were irrelevant, but rather they're incredibly relevant. It's just, this is a story that has 12 arc planned, it feels like, and it's just like, we're just getting started, and I hope the remaining of the episodes will do just as well, which I'm sure they will, and the second half of this that we'll get in winter will be even better, and just give us a third season that we don't have to wait for 4 years for, please and thank you, because this is a masterpiece and the voice actors are going in, and even though the witches may not have been what we were expecting, I think they actually played into their basically role in such an opposite way that it made it all the more creepy or intriguing in the case of Minerva, or creepy in the case of Gluttony. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below, your theories and speculations. Just what the hell did you think? Do let me know. If you enjoyed the video, of course, leave a like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.